How's it going, guys? Coffee here. Today I wanted to go over the reveal for the next Torchlight Infinite season. This is Season 9, Outlaw. With this season, the new seasonal league mechanic offers these carjacks where you are basically you're carjacking a transport that has a bunch of loot and you are chasing down the people who are carrying the loot, and you're basically trying to kill them. And as you attack more of these cargo trucks, you are able to increase your bounty and increase your infamy, basically, which gives you even better ones as you continue to get stronger and stronger. This is, of course, leading to even more loot and even bigger benefits. As you can see here, you can start to get quite impressive loot explosions out of this. So this mechanic looks like it's going to be a ton of fun already with that. One of the other bonuses you do actually get out of this is they are adding an extra league mechanic here with a bounty system, where as you'll have a chance to basically unlock these bounties, and it's more of a bit of a challenge. So it's like an optional choice, basically, to increase the difficulty at a specific cost, and if you do succeed, then you will end up getting a bonus out of it. So it's a bit of a ultimatum if you're coming from Path of Exile, mixed with a little bit of like betrayal, and then it ties into a heist mechanic with a tower that has rooms here that you can unlock, as you can see here, where he's like talking about this. So you have to you want to go through and you want to basically go and clear all the storerooms. As you do clear the storerooms, your meter is going to increase for how much threat you're kind of creating before it's going to end up releasing a big, basically, boss for the heist area. And once you've done that, all the other rooms they're gonna lock, and you're basically gonna go to a boss. You can go kill the boss and then open a bigger chest at the end. So it's at least different in that regard, where you're always going to get that final payoff. You don't need to be paying much attention to what storerooms you're opening. You'll be able to just run off, get as much loot as you can, and then push yourself to the boss and get out of there. And it's designed in a way that it's not going to be feeling like you have to constantly spam it. You're going to have coins, and you can basically save them up and use them whenever you want. So you don't have to. You're not going to be forcefully interrupting your gameplay. So with this mechanic, the tokens they are giving you are adding some much needed features and some really cool features here. So the ability to reroll gear energy, instead of having to spam energy crystals when you're trying to get the max energy on gear, you can use these new tokens here. It's either going to do nothing, or it's just going to increase the energy level to the maximum, which is going to be really, really nice. Then they have the same one for rerolling affixes on non-legendary gear. So you can use this when you're basically trying to spam truth fossils in order to get the perfect mods on an item. What this is going to do is this will make it to where all the mods will be the same. So either you're going to roll a percentage at 0% and all the mods are going to be as low as possible, or you'll roll at 100% and every mod will be as high as possible, which is really, really nice for rolling those ranges, and it'll ensure that it's just a more consistent way of getting everything, less overall clicks. So I'm looking forward to it. They do have quite a few high gambling options here, where you can reroll the base affixes of priceless gear, for example, or rerolling the corrosion affixes of legendary gear. The downsides on these are that the item is going to disappear. So this is the effect of, and then the one that everyone likes the most, which will be gambling with fluorescent memories. Anyone who plays Path of Exile knows how fun and addictive it can be to gamble with these cards. So you'll see people making some big money swings gambling on these. So same thing with re-rolling Undetermined Fates. This will be another big gamble if people want to do it. I know people have a ton of fun doing these gambles, so I know people are really going to enjoy them when it comes to this as well. The power of being able to re-roll corrosion affixes is really, really nice. You could go from an item that was technically a miss or a whiff, and then you can actually end up getting a really, really powerful base affix on the item. So that would be really, really cool. Same thing goes for rerolling base affixes on other gear. There's some really, really strong base affixes that you can get on gear. So being able to roll some of these really cheap will be really, really cool. The biggest thing that they are adding with the new League mechanic is going to be this thing they call Tower Sequence, which is basically a special enchantment that can go on weapons here. And the way that you roll these is basically you will have these chips that you get, and you have to align the chips in the sequence that you see in the order there in order to actually get the specific mod that you want on the item. So you can try this as many times as you want. There is a cost associated with it, and you can try to get what you want, and if you end up missing, you'll just end up getting a random one, it looks like, or you can just cancel it, and then you can just click and go again and repeat. So if you are just trying to roll for something specific, you can see there's some really, really powerful ones in here, but the odds of getting them are not always the easiest, right? So you're missing here, and then it looks like he actually didn't. Did he actually have to get that in the specific order there? I can't actually tell. Yeah, he did. It just wasn't showing in the other one until he popped it up here. So you can get these again. He got the 4 chips he wants, so it gives him a different option of what you can get. And again, the odds of getting these, we don't know how hard it is going to be to actually sequence some of these. They might be weighted or not, but the power effects that you can get on these are extremely powerful. So I'm looking forward to this. This will be really, really cool. And it seems like it's going to be designed in a way that will be a lower or a less expensive version you can do, and then a more expensive version you can do. So something you can interact with earlier in the game as well. And that'll be really, really nice. And it looks like from the list of what they have, they're pushing a lot of player power into this. So it should be really, really cool and add a lot of build variety with all the different choices you can make with this. They're also, the new season comes with a new hero trait as usual. And the new one here is going to be the Unsullied version of Rosa. She is built around this tri-elemental attack build, and she scales off of mana. So she doesn't have to scale off of mana, but she can. So based off of the patch notes, it looks like you can stack a decent amount of mana, and you are getting bonuses. Basically, your mana cost will be fixed at 10% cost per attack, though it has a built-in feature that makes it seem like it's impossible to actually run out of mana. So as soon as you get low, it will trigger over to this other version where you just start gaining mana on every attack instead. So it's specifically designed to where you can utilize and use a ton of mana. So there's a lot of interactions in the game already that benefit for using certain amounts of mana or using a lot of mana. So the mana stackers are really going to enjoy this. There's a lot of big bonuses to additional mana or max mana as well as the ability to have damage take from your mana instead of your life. So this is being added to specific items as well as being added to the kit itself. So there you're going to have the ability to have a lot of damage taken from mana if you want to do that choice. The other big one that they did add and change to the game is they have changed imbues to focuses. And focuses function based off of like an energy mechanic. So each one has specific triggers for it. A cuteness focus here triggers every time you hit with a melee skill. And then as you trigger, you can see these big spikes that are coming out of the skill. Those are triggering off of that. Ice focus, I believe, triggers off of hitting something that is frostbitten. So this is basically built very well for, again, Gemma 2. Then we have Thunder Focus, which triggers off of movement. And then, as you can see here, they're getting quite a bit of value out of this. Again, we don't know how strong the characters are when they're showing these off. Flame Focus is really cool. You do get the energy for this one based off of igniting things. And this one makes it to where the a percentage of your it takes your crit damage bonus and it applies it to damage over time effects. So that's really, really big if you want to end up doing a bit of a different build, adding some extra build variety, because obviously speccing into crit is not something that most damage over time builds are going to do. So that adds a nice little build variety there. They've added quite a bit of new uniques, or new legendaries rather, that are scaled around some of the new mechanics here. So you can see this one here for scaling around focus. This gives additional focus speed, which appears to be increased rate at which the focus skills get energy. So with the additional focus speed, you're basically obviously going to be gaining much more energy at once and triggering these much more often. They've added talent points to synergize with these as well. So they're really trying to make sure they're pushing the mechanics and giving it the support it needs to ensure it's going to be very solid. They've also completely reworked the Carino Zealot of War. So Carino 3 has been reworked to be streamlined and simplified a bit more, because he did have the issue of having a lot of ramp up time, and he's been streamlined and buffed, so we're hoping that he is more in line with the other Carinos, and he really should be. I mean, based off of what it was, he was already pretty solid, but he just kind of needed a little bit of love and attention, and that's what they're doing. So they are trying to focus and ensure that if there's older heroes that are underperforming, they are taking a look at them and giving a balance pass on them. They did do a balance pass on the first Moto order calling this league as well. And then they adjusted the crafting on all of the gear they've added mods to ensure that you can get your defenses in order for deep space, which is the #1 issue with doing profound and deep space content, was the defenses required were extremely hard to get. There were only a few sources of getting yourself immune to elemental ailments, which deep space added some very debilitating mods that were elemental ailments, and it made it extremely hard to actually survive in the content. So they've added the defensive options are actually there crafting now, so you can actually craft and get yourself into this content without having to pay extreme amounts of money for very specific items that were the only sources of actually getting those defenses. So they've made some good changes to the void chart. They've added some additional things here for doing some boss rushing or boss rushing strategies, where you have a chance to get additional bosses in a map. So you can see there is 25% chance to get 4 additional bosses in the map. So if you have things where the bosses are dropping specific loot, you can use these kind of strategies to ensure you're getting a ton of extra bosses and able to go and kill them for quite a bit of extra loot. They've also made it to where the secret realms occur far less often, but when they do occur, the loot is going to be significantly better. Because I think the issue basically with the current league is when you get them early in the league, they were great, but as soon as you got built into the league quite a bit more, they were just not really worth doing. The loot in them was nowhere near good enough for the amount of time that they took and what you were getting in other maps. So they've made some adjustments to the other league mechanics, so they have been put more in line with the difficulty of the content that they're from. So when you're doing profound level Nightmare and Eterna, Mistville, etc., or Canvas, they are all going to be the same difficulty. Where right now doing Canvas on profound is significantly easier than doing profound. So they've adjusted it to put it in line with everything else. Oasis has gone core as well. So from the last season, though, they've streamlined it to where you don't need to be obviously farming it as much because you're not seeing it on every single map anymore. So they've lowered the requirements in order to basically get the currency and in order to maintain your Oasis, which has been really nice. They've added a new boss for the Steelforge area, which is really, really cool. And they've added some new loot specifically to these bosses as well. The new fight looks awesome. I'm glad they're going over a lot of these older fights that were very boring. And it seems like they're focusing on at least replacing one of these fights every single season. So I'm continuing to look forward to what improvements they're making every league. And yeah, highly looking forward to what they're doing. They're adding a lot of quality of life stuff as usual. They've added some custom sounds that we can add to loot filters, and they've unlocked it to where we can add any sounds we want, which means that some people are going to be doing some unhinged stuff with it, but it should be all in good fun either way. So looking forward to that. And yeah, other than that, just some quality of life changes in regards to the trade house. It makes it a bit easier to search things, makes it more consistent with the pricing. And then they've added a new event, as usual, to help catch up newer players. This one is the things that I'm really, really happy they're adding, because they need to continue to add these just to give the newer players a chance. They're giving them, again, these free, really solid loot pets. Happy Chonky and Cloud Gatherer, Surging Gold. These are staples for everyone. You know, anyone who's been playing the game for a few years will have these maxed out already by this point, even as a free-to-play player. But as a new player, it's, you know, you're only getting so many pulls every league. So having these extra little things to help you get caught up to where you're not basically as far behind as the experienced players who have been playing the game for forever. This helps close that gap a bit so they don't feel like they're in this hole that is impossible to get out of. So I really like that they're adding these just based off of play the game, do the content. You'll get certain things here, and then you'll get basically your loot off of this. So yeah, if you have any questions, I will be posting build guides over the next week or so. I plan on doing kind of at least one. I'll do at least one build guide a day. I want to try to do probably 2 build guides a day. If you have specific heroes you want to see build guides for, or at least a direction of kind of where to build these, let me know. I'll be more than happy to cover it. I'm digging really deep into the patch notes and what changed, what didn't, to kind of see what the biggest winners and losers were over the patches. I have pretty significant patch notes over everything. We went over the patch notes on stream here, so but yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and other than that, see you in the next one.